Agenda's post-PT coverage with Isaac Egan. Welcome, Isaac.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back again after last week. We had you on talking about this very deck that we have up on the screen before you went to the PT. We played through 6 matches, won them all, and then you went to the PT and won 13 in a row.
I just had to keep the flow going. I had to keep the run alive, you know?
Yeah. So you won all your matches on day one, which is 9 matches.
Yep.
What were your highlights from that day?
That's a good question. They all kind of blend into each other because I played against a lot of Bant, which is like the best matchup for me, right?
So why is that the best matchup? Looking at the deck, what are your standout key cards against Bant?
The thing with Bant is that Bant has like a lot of just good cards. It's a collection of good cards together, but they are very, very slow at killing you. The only exception to that is if they play like an early Nissa. So if they play a turn 4 Nissa, and then they might play a turn 5 Hydro Crisis with 5-6 land out. Let's say 6 lands, so that's 12, potentially 12 mana, somewhere around that. So they could make like an 8-8 Hydro Crisis on turn 5. So turn 4 Nissa, 3-3, turn 5, bash it for 6 maybe, and make a 8-8 Hydro Crisis. You can certainly lose those games. But like otherwise, with the exception of Nissa, they're very slow. And what that means is you've got this ability to have this aggro a game with Mayhem Devil, Woe Strider, and your priest, and basically saying, I've got some threats here, you have to answer them. And then at some point, they either try to answer them by wrathing the board, or they tap out, or they try to put some aggression on, and then you just slam a Bowlers of Citadel, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, they only have maybe one Dovin's Veto in the main, or maybe one Negate. Maybe they'll have a Wilts, or maybe 2 Wilts, and maybe some of that petty theft action.
Yep.
So there's some ways that they can actually do to interact with Bowlers of Citadel, but on the most part, you've got this aggressive game that they have to deal with, and this combo game that they can't deal with.
And a lot of the time throughout the tournament, we saw that Bowlers of Citadel is great, and sometimes you just play it and win the game.
Yep.
But the deck can certainly win games without it.
Oh, yeah.
The Cat, the Oven, the Mayhem Devil, like there's plenty of card advantage there and damage. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the Claim the Firstborn, there's a bunch of matchups. Any kind of aggressive matchup, you take a bunch of the Citadels out. So,
and I think there was one particular game against Mono Red actually on day 2 that got streamed on the Wizards coverage.
Yeah.
That was just the ultimate shellacking. And I think it wasn't about who your opponent was. It was just they had a terrible matchup. They knew that. I think Wizards actually had some audio from them about what they would do if they had to sideboard against you, like what their sideboard plan would be. And they were basically just like, well, Claim the Firstborn takes all our good creatures and Mayhem Devil kills all our 1-drops. That's about it. That's pretty much our whole deck.
I remember that match actually quite well because game 1 was this interesting decision where I chose not to block with my Gilded Goose.
Yeah.
And so game
huge.
1, which was huge, right? It was a huge play. And then
because they had, I think, the Ember Shield Breaker or something else to pump.
They had a dwarf, the dwarf that goes like +2/+0.
Yep.
So, and we had deck lists, so I knew that was the potential. And they could have just been sneaking in to get 1 damage. They could have been trying to get 1 damage in order to play the one that has single red, reveal the top 2 cards. You can play them.
Light up the stage.
Light up the stage, yes.
Yeah.
So they could have been trying to just get that in.
Yeah.
But like it just wasn't worth it for me, so I identified that I should not block, and then they end up having to they just played the dwarf and dead.
The Rimrock Knight, sorry,
Rimrock
Shield
Knight.
Breaker. Yeah. The other one, yeah. Adventure.
And so that was pretty cool. But then what I liked about it was game 2, where they again tacked into my goose.
Yep.
And
then you blocked.
I blocked. Yeah. Because it was okay for me to lose the goose.
Yeah.
And in fact, if they spent their turn doing that instead of adding to the board with the 1/1 that gets bigger.
Not Fervent Champion.
I'm not particularly good with names.
Yeah.
The 1/1 that whenever you play a red spell, put a Possum Boss on counter, and you can remove 3 Possum Boss on counters.
Runaway Steamkin.
Runaway Steamkin. Thank you.
Yeah.
I made the conscious decision to block, and then the following turn I had a Priest of the Forgotten Gods out, and then they attacked with their 1/1. And I worked out that the only relevant card that would make it a bad trade for me was Infuriate, single red +3/+2.
Yeah.
And I was just cool with that happening. So I blocked.
So you blocked again.
And they they
had nothing.
were just yamming. They're like, this matchup is so bad.
Yep.
I'm just gonna try and mize.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I did hit the tank for a bit, and then chose to block. So,
but then I think there was a turn. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was in game 1 or game 2, but they had a series of 1-1s out. I think 3 or 4, and your Mayhem Devil hit the table, and you just machine gun their ball. Yeah,
which took them off the potential to get me with Embercleave.
Yeah,
which
I think they drew or had in hand, perhaps.
Game 2 at the end, they like flashed in Embercleave with 6 mana out.
With nothing on the board.
Yeah. And I like ultimated Vraska at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ultimate on Vraska was nice, isn't it? It was nice that they let you do that. The commentators on the stream at the time were like, don't concede, we want to see this happen. And then, that was cool. Yeah, so that was some of your Swiss matches. And then I think we went out during the week and had a bit of a chat about the top 8 and just kind of the tournament in general. And obviously, making top 8 at any of these massive tournaments is a singular achievement in itself. Like, you've won the tournament effectively in that you've made it to the next stage. Like, the top 8 cut is effectively an entirely separate tournament in a lot of ways.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it felt like, yeah.
That when you are there in the Swiss rounds, that's your objective, is to be in that group of 8 people.
Yeah,
and you were not only there, you were top of it.
Yeah, I was top of it.
First in the Swiss.
And then got paired against the Mirror, which honestly, I actually haven't played much Mirrors.
Yeah.
But
we played like 1 on our stream, but even that, like, it's hard to figure out what's going on, and it's quite swingy.
And honestly, my brain was shutting down a bit. Like, I was not on point at that. Which shows that I played the Priest in game 1 when I really didn't need to. In my head, I was just like, I want a chump blocker, right? To just make sure that I don't die. To some series of multiple Mayhem Devils. And so I played the chump blocker because I wanted to spend all my mana and pass the turn, and it claimed the firstborn, and it destroyed my core vault, which was pretty brutal.
That was super brutal. And I think, you had it. Your core vault was what, like a 9/9 or 11/11 or something.
It was a lethal. It was a lethal core vault. Yep.
And you had 2 mana up. You had this priest in your hand. It was like, do I play it? Do I not? You just kind of did it.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I was almost on autopilot a little bit, and I had spent some of my clock doing a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And so I had been roped a little bit,
Yeah.
so I was a little bit frazzled at that point anyway. Yeah. And so I didn't take the necessary time to stop and think about that play, which I'm okay with. Look, it was a mistake, but
I think the way it turned out, your opponent had their own priest and a claim the firstborn, so they could have still killed your core vault.
Yeah,
that turn.
That's what I've been told.
Played the priest,
yeah.
So, these things come in swings and roundabouts, and then you had that unfortunate situation. It was in game. You won game 2, didn't you?
Yeah. So game 1, what ended up happening is they claimed the firstborn, my priest, and created a very favorable board position for them. And I was on like 4 life or something like that. And so then I have the option of playing 2 Mayhem Devils, cracking my Fabled Passage in order to be able to kill their priest or to do damage to
they had a Mayhem Devil too.
Their Mayhem Devil, and I was on such a low life, and then I had to sacrifice my own Mayhem Devil, which gives me food, which means I can take the cat back. And so I ended up being able to stabilize and killing their priest, killing their Mayhem Devil, and now they've just got a Woe Strider out, and I've got a cat as well, so I can block their Woe Strider.
And you had a Mayhem Devil still.
So I got a Mayhem Devil, I've got 2 ovens and a cat. So things are looking good. Pass the turn, and then claim the firstborn off the top.
Got your Mayhem Devil, which they were then able to sacrifice as well as the Woe Strider.
Which then allowed them to sacrifice their own thing to kill my other blocker and just attack for lethal. Yeah. So they got a bit lucky there, but at the same time, I opened the door.
Yep.
I opened the door for that, and they took that, which well played.
And then game 2, you got the win.
Yeah, game 2 was a bit of a cakewalk. Okay, I had all of the things.
Yeah.
And then game 3, they just had all of the things. And I was a little bit slow, and I think they got a priest online, and then
they were on the play.
They're on the play.
Jump on you a bit. Yeah.
They're on the play, and they got a priest online quick with some Woe Striders, and then also got the one of the key differences I think was that they had a Witch's Oven and I didn't.
Yep.
And so their Mayhem, they claimed the firstborns actually were really relevant, whereas I could never sacrifice my creatures in response to their claims.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really key factor because they got to do a bunch more damage, and I didn't get any of those foods.
Yeah.
The foods. I wanted the foods.
You needed the foods.
Yeah.
So before we get to kind of just general reflections on the deck and how it all performed, one thing that I found interesting in that game 1 of the top 8 was you had the Bolas' Citadel, but you elected not to play it, partly because they had a Mayhem Devil on the board, or maybe solely.
Yeah.
But you were on about 11 or 13 life or something, I think above 10 at that point.
I was on like 16.
Yeah.
Something around there. I basically worked out that I had about 5 or 6 life to play with, because if I sacrificed 10 permanents, then that's
active
10.
player, non-active player.
Yeah, so the way that works is you got active player goes on the stack, and then non-active player. So if you're the active player, if it's your turn, then yours will go on the stack, and then theirs go on the stack, and then theirs resolve. So I can get around this by sacrificing all of my stuff in their turn. But at the same time, if I get to this stage where I'm just naturally sacrificing things, there can be I can easily just lose that game based on me either whiffing, right? So I just don't have stuff on the top, and then I can't do anything, and then I have to pass the turn, and they could potentially just kill me, and especially if I've like just spent some amount of life and don't get to that requisite number of killing them, because I believe at that point I'll need more than just 10 permanents. I think I need my own Mayhem Devil as well. So I would have to, and the other thing is, because the cost is sacrifice the 10 permanents, and that's the lose 10 life. So I would actually have to make sure that I would be killing them with the sacrifice triggers before, and not using the 10 life. So it becomes pretty complicated at that point, and so I think the safer play is to play that Corvold, which is like I don't feel like that was a mistake. I'm happy with that one.
And that worked out really well with your board, like obviously up until you had to sacrifice it, but you then got to untap with it in the next turn, do a whole lot of relevant stuff.
Yeah, draw a bunch of cards, and then,
Yeah. Cool. And so on reflection, looking at some of the decisions retrospectively that you made in constructing the deck and some of the sort of changes that you made, or the tweaks, bringing Vraska into the main deck, I think was the main
so Vraska I'm really happy about. I'm actually just really happy with the deck. I think it was a great deck for the day. I cut a swamp. I cut the Castle Lochplain for another swamp. And I was happy with that decision. The only in the sideboard I had 2 the Akroan Wars, which were really good for the mirror. And I did side them in a couple of times against some Bant decks that I knew had like 4 copies of the Wolfmaker. You know the one. 4 mana, 4/4. At the end of your turn, if you didn't play a spell, you make a 2/2 wolf. All wolves you control get +1/+1. And so I started against that and some decks that had questing based as well. I was happy with the Lava Coil over the 2 mana instant.
Scorching
Dragonfire. And then I was happy with the mix-up of Duress, Mystical Repeal, and Agonizing Remorse. So I was pretty happy with this. I think that I could have... I didn't expect to see so little Jund in the tournament. It was only 10. 2 of us made top 8, which is interesting. So I think, based on that, I probably didn't need to have 2 the Akroan Wars. But I don't know entirely what I'd have. Maybe another Mystical Repeal or something like that.
The Murderous Rider was the one thing I think that changed between our stream last week and the event.
Okay.
How did you find that?
It was good. Yeah, it was good against Bant. Does a lot of things
that Lava Coil does, right, as well? Like it kills the Torbrands or those other...
Kills the Torbrand. The thing that's different about it is that you can find it off Trail of Crumbs. So that was... and it's an instant speed. So I wanted to have some way of being able to kill something that's quite large, so the Akroan War, but that I wanted to side in against decks that I didn't want the Akroan War. So...
And sometimes you just get a life-linking 2/3 out of it.
Yeah. There's certainly that option, which I did play it as a 2/3 life-linker and got to chump block and gain some life and that kind of thing, particularly against the 7/6, which...
The, what's it called? Rotting Regisaur?
Yeah, Rotting Regisaur.
Reggie.
So yeah, it was a really good tournament. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but that's because I really like winning.
So do we at the winning agenda.
I did beat myself up about the Pressure of the Forgotten Gods. I was like recording it at the time, and if you're like I haven't uploaded the video, but Like, it's just me going, like, oh, should I side this out? It's pretty good at killing Corvold. My Corvold. Like, so I'm just like...
It was hurting.
I was ragging on myself a fair bit. I was pretty disappointed. And then I was, like, trying to get my head back in the game for Game 2. And I did manage to do that for Game 2, but things were a bit easier. And then Game 3, yeah. So, like, yeah, it was a good event.
Well, congrats on a great result. So what we might do now is we're going to head off to a draft. So we're going to do a Theros Beyond Death. Not Theros Beyond Death. Ikoria, Lair of the Behemoths.
Ikoria!
Just gone back in time by a month. So we're on the cusp of M21. Unfortunately, Arena Cube Draft only has 50 minutes left in the event, and I don't think we can play
We can draft, though.
We can draft, but I think you got to play matches. I think they've synced up the end of the entry and the end of the matches. So I don't think you get extra time to complete your matches.
No, yeah. But we could just not play all the matches.
We could totally do the draft. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we might do that. We'll do a cube draft first, and then we'll do an Ikoria draft. Cube's better.
Cube's better.
Cool. Well, for those of you on YouTube, thanks for watching. We'll put the cube draft up as a separate video. For those of you on Twitch, obviously we'll keep going. But if you are on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's right. And help support the channel, and check us out at the patreon.com/thewinning agenda if you want to chuck a few shekels our way.